Chapter 7, Lesson 2, Solve and Write Addition Equations. You will be able to solve and write addition equations. In Lesson 1, you mentally solved equations. Another way is to use inverse operations, which undo each other. For example, to solve an addition equation, use subtraction. Solve the following equations. Now, I know you could probably do these in your head and mentally, but we have to learn the process of solving equations for when we get to more complicated equations. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is draw a line down the equal sign. An equation is like a scale. Both sides are equal. So if you add or subtract something from either side, you have to do the same to the other side. For example, I'm going to find my variable here. It's x. I need to get x by itself. The problem is I have an addition of 3. I need to get rid of that. In order to do that, I will use an inverse operation. Inverse is a math term for opposite. So what is the opposite operation of plus 3? It would be subtract 3. So what I'm going to do is subtract 3 from both sides of that equal sign. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. And that's why it helps to have this line down the equal sign so you can visually see both sides. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Well, 8 minus 3 is 5 equals, bring down the x, we didn't do anything with it yet, and 3 minus 3 is 0, or nothing. Therefore, I get x equals 5. Now to do a quick check, what we can do is take our original equation and plug in our solution. So let's plug in 5 and see if it works. 8 equals, well, 5 plus 3 is 8. It checks out. So our solution for letter A is 5. Letter B. Draw your line down the equal sign. The variable this time is c, and it has a plus 2. To get rid of plus 2, we subtract 2 from both sides. 2 minus 2 is 0. Bring down the c equals, and 5 minus 2 is 3. So c equals 3. That is our solution. To check it, let's start with our original equation and plug in our solution of 3 where c is. 3 plus 2 equals 5. Well, 3 plus 2 equals 5. Therefore, 5 equals 5. So our solution of 3 is correct. Letter C. Draw your line down the equal sign. I found my variable x, and I need to get rid of the plus 5 that's attached to it. To get rid of plus 5, we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. 6 minus 5 is 1 equals, well, the 5 minus 5 is 0, so nothing. Bring down your x, and 1 is your solution. I'm not going to do a check from here on out. Letter D, put your line down the equal sign. I have the variable y, and I have a positive 3.5. So to get rid of a positive 3.5, I subtract 3.5. And make sure you're lining up those decimals. And it looks like I'm going to have to add a 0 here to help me subtract. 3.5 minus 3.5 is 0. So I'm left with y equals, and let's subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. 7 minus 5 is 2. Bring down the decimal point. And 12 minus 3 is 8. Or is 9. Sorry. So 9.25. Letter E. Draw your line down the equal sign. My variable is y, and there's a plus 7 I need to get rid of. To get rid of it, I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. Those equal 0, leaving y on the left-hand side equals 10 minus 7 is 3. So the solution is 3. Letter F. Draw your line down the equal sign. 10 equals 6 plus e. I have a positive 6, and although there's a plus sign here, I always look to the left of the number. I know it's a positive number because there's no symbol. If there were a negative number, we would see a negative sign. So I have to go by what the sign is to the left. And again, if there is no sign, it's positive. So I have positive 6. To get rid of a positive 6, I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. 10 minus 6 is 4 equals 6 minus 6 is 0. Bring down the e. 4 is the solution. Now, when you're solving equations and you have to show your work, this is the work we need to see. Okay? So don't put minus 7 on one side and not the other. Make sure you show it on both. And then make sure you have your solution. This will become very crucial when we start solving two-step equations. When you solve an equation by subtracting the same number from each side of the equation, which is what we've been doing, you are using the subtraction property of equality, which states when you subtract something from both sides of the equation remains true. It remains equal. Solve the following equations. Ruben and Tariq have 245.5 downloaded minutes of music. If Ruben has 132 minutes, how many belong to Tariq? Write and solve an addition equation to find how many minutes belong to Tariq. So let's write a let statement. Pick any variable. I'm going to choose x. Let x equal Tariq's minutes. So total, they have 245.5 minutes. Ruben has 132 minutes, and Tariq, we don't know, he has x minutes. So what I would do is I would take the 132 minutes plus Tariq's minutes, which I don't know, and altogether that equals 245.5. Now I can solve it. Draw your line down the equal sign. Find your variable. It's over here. I have a positive 132. To get rid of a positive 132, I'm going to subtract 132 from both sides. Make sure you're lining up the decimals. This really is it's a whole number, so anything behind the decimal would be 0. 132 minus 132 is 0. Bring down the x equals, and now let's subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. Bring down the decimal. 5 minus 2 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. And 2 minus 1 is 1. So, how many minutes belong to Tariq? 113.5 minutes. Letter B. Suppose Ruben had 147.5 minutes of the 245.5 that were downloaded. Write and solve an addition equation to find how many minutes belong to Tariq. Again, let x equal Tariq's minutes. This time Ruben has 147. So our equation would be 147.5 plus Tariq's minutes still equals that same total of 245.5. Now let's solve. X is on the left-hand side. I have to get rid of this positive 147.5. I'm going to do that by subtracting 147.5 from both sides. 147.5 minus 147.5 is 0. Bring down the x equals, and now let's subtract. 5 minus 5 is 0. Bring down the decimal point. I can't do 5 minus 7, so I'm going to borrow. 15 minus 7 is 8. Can't do 3 minus 4, so borrow. 13 minus 4 is 9. And 1 minus 1 is 0. So Tariq has 98 minutes in this scenario. Letter C. A male gorilla weighs 379 pounds on average. This is 181 pounds more than the weight of the average female gorilla. Write and solve an addition equation to find the weight of an average female gorilla. So let x equal the weight of an average female gorilla. Okay. So a male is 379, and this is 181 pounds more than the weight of the female. So the weight of the female is x, we don't know what it is, plus the 181 pounds, and altogether that equals what the male gorilla weighs on average, which is 379 pounds. From here, let's solve the equation. Put your line down the equal sign. X is on the left, and I have a plus 181. So I'm going to subtract 181 from both sides. 181 minus 181 is 0. Bring down the x. And let's subtract. 9 minus 1 is 8. Can't do 7 minus 8, so I'll borrow. 17 minus 8 is 9. And 2 minus 1 is 1. So on average, the female gorilla weighs 198 pounds. Pounds is abbreviated LBS.